Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 51 today for the Monaco Grand Prix in Season 3. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Spanish GP, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. A very topsy-turvy one with some rain at the end causing havoc, and unfortunately the first retirement for the team this season with Max Verstappen having a DNF there, of course. Very unfortunate, of course. It's one of the reasons why we signed Verstappen, getting him away from a very unreliable Red Bull car. Well, unfortunately, we've had one reliability issue in the first 6 rounds. Would have liked to have kind of gone away for that, because of that, Verstappen's probably lost some decent ground in the championship. In terms of constructors, won't be too much of a hit because we've been a very consistent team, but for him individually, it maybe puts him on the back foot. But to be fair, also, Sainz has had one DNF, I think it was the first race, wasn't it? Or the second race. Then Leclerc has also had a DNF, and also he had a shocking race last time where him and De Vries, both Ferraris, were behind the Mercedes cars, and all 4 of them were outside the points for a lot of the race. I think only one of them made it into the points. So very, very odd race actually last time out, where Sainz reigned supreme at his home Grand Prix, but a lot of the big hitters and big names were out of the kind of fight basically. So it was a bit of an odd one. So hoping for a bit more normality. Here at the Monaco GP, but it is Monaco, so it's something bound to happen, whether it be traffic or, rain like there was in Season 1. But we go through the activity timeline then. Purchase personnel upgrade last episode, I think it was, or maybe 2 episodes ago, so that finally comes in just before we head to Monaco, and at the same time did some more training with Verstappen. And speaking of that, Verstappen is not actually 100 rated right now, technically. He's 99. The only thing that he's lacking on that, I think, is actually, hang on, if I just look at the numbers, it's actually nothing. He's got experience plus 15 from 75, so actually all his stats are 100, so for whatever reason his overall's not 100, but all his stats are, so actually we still probably technically got a 100 rated Verstappen, and hopefully he can bounce back quite well this episode, off the back of that DNF. But heading into Monaco, Mercedes brings some upgrades. Whether that means anything or not remains to be seen, because so far they've been absolutely atrocious and pretty much the 6th or 5th best team on the grid. Ferrari bring upgrades, so they'll be hoping to try and bounce back very much so from the 2 poor races Leclerc's had, and of course it's his home Grand Prix, so he'll be wanting to do well. But McLaren still looks strong. They looked strong at Spain, to be fair, as well. If it wasn't for Lando Norris on a 2-stop strategy, they might have had 2 cars in the top 4 or 5 really, and in the end, in the end Norris actually did overtake us, of course, because we had that massive calamity at the end. So McLaren are on the up, and obviously Red Bull won the race last time, so we've got a lot of potential fighters here around the Principality. It's going to be tough. We're all fighting for those same spots, and qualifying, well, it's Monaco. It's the most important qualifying of the entire season, really. Last season, we qualified P2, and we had probably the best start I've ever had on this game, and that allowed us to get first place early. So we need to try and match that. At least either be on pole or be on the front row, or be there to capitalize on the start, get in early, because track position on the game especially as well, but even more so than real life in a way, is really important, because the AI, they find it so hard to overtake each other. But also I've found it's gone harder and harder every single year we go to a new F1 game. It's harder and harder to make those moves around Monaco, unless you have a very, very quick car, which our car technically on paper should be a lot quicker than most of these cars, so we should be able to make our way through, you would hope. But just obviously I don't want to rest on that essentially. But the early signs are really good. As you saw there, we qualified through into Q2 on a set of medium tires, the only person to do that. I didn't feel like we need to go on mediums in Q2, because there's no point. Around Monaco, the tyre wear is so low, you'll go from soft tyres to mediums and get to the end of the race just fine. So I thought I'd kind of use the medium tyre in that first session to just give me more softs available in case I want to do 2 runs per Q2 and Q3. Hopefully, by that pace we showed in Q1, we won't need a second run in Q2. We can go through, but it's getting very overcast, I must say. There is no forecast for rain this weekend, so I think it's just basically just a little bit of cloud cover, so that shouldn't be an issue for us. But let's see how we go, kind of trying to keep it tight and tidy through those corners, get on the power early. I must say, this season compared to Season 2, the rear end was a little bit more lively, so I can really feel that extra power and the engine upgrades we've done coming to this track this time round compared to last season. Like, the rear end was definitely a bit more floaty, even though technically we probably got way more downforce also in the car than this time in Season 2. So that was a bit of an odd one, and so that might cause us some issues in the race. We need to be careful of that in terms of the tyre wear. If the internal carcass temperature is getting a little bit too hot, the rear end might step out with that. So we'll keep an eye and kind of update you on how that kind of progresses and how that feels. But we make it through into the top 10, thankfully, with Verstappen as well, both Red Bulls. But it's the two McLarens and the Ferraris looking quick. Lando Norris in first place there in Q2, and Ocon in P5, or 4, sorry, so ahead of Leclerc. So interesting times. And also, a few of those guys also went on medium tyres, including my teammate Verstappen. So, as I said, there's no real point to it because it is a one-stop either way. It might just give them a slight advantage of obviously their tyres on that first stint won't go off as quickly. So maybe if we're stuck in traffic having to pit earlier, maybe that's how they're going to gain some time on it. So let's see. We'll have to wait and see on Sunday. But we go through now into Q3. The first flying lap, it was a pretty dismal last sector. You saw there, I went over the kind of sleeping policeman in the swimming pool section, and also Raskas and last corner were really abysmal for me. The second run, I didn't actually improve until the last two corners, getting just about 1.5 to 2 tenths there alone in 2 corners. So that's how poor that first run was in Sector 3. Across the line for us, and it's only going to be P4 laps. We can't get that coveted front row at Monaco, but that will go to the home favourite Leclerc on pole position at his home GP. Bottas second place, Hamilton third. Very surprising, very surprising. Mercedes have not looked this strong since the first race when they got a 1-2 at Australia. So that's a bit of a spanner in the works there. I'm sure myself, De Vries, Verstappen, even the McLarens will be surprised at that. I'm also very disappointed and surprised that McLarens, Ocon down in P7, Norris down in P9 after showing such great pace in Q2. And also, what's happened to Red Bull there? They're looking a bit slow. So it's it's been a very odd season so far. Everyone's yo-yoing about. I guess because they're so close on the R&D chart, it really goes down to their kind of strengths of the individual car circuit to circuit. So I guess this is just one where Ferrari likes it. And obviously in the past, 2007, wasn't it? The Ferrari really liked Monaco. So maybe they've got that groove going on once again here in Season 3 of our career mode save. But let's go on to the race then from the second row. It's going to be hard, but we'll try our best and see if we can go for that win at Monaco or maybe just the podium. I don't know.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The prestigious Circuit de Monaco then. It's not all that dissimilar today to the layout that made its debut almost a century ago. It's 2 miles and 19 corners through the streets of Monte Carlo, and although the average lap speed of around 93 miles per hour is the lowest of the season, the tiny margins for error make it the natural habitat of the safety car. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, the owner driver, Nick De Vries, and Verstappen, Ocon, Ricciardo, Norris, and Carlos Sainz, Gasly, Perez, Alexander Albon, and Kvyat, Magnussen, Grosjean, Lance Stroll, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Russell, Matsushita, Latifi, and Jack Aitken. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
So race strategy wise, as I said, it is Monaco, so no surprise. One stop, easy one stop, really, from softs to mediums. There is always a little bit of tyre wear at the end of this race, which is a bit of an issue. So maybe in a sense, maybe Verstappen has put himself in a better place starting on mediums because his tyre wear will be less for both stints. But I think track position is so key here around Monaco that it just doesn't matter if your rear tyres have gone off. Like, as long as you hold position and defend correctly, you should be fine. So we're going with this, as are Leclerc and a few other others around us. I think both Mercs are also starting the soft tyres. So really for us, the race strategy, away from the actual tyre wear, is we've got to try and get a really good start. We've got to get past these Mercedes cars because unless they have a miracle turnaround this episode, they're going to be just as bad, I think, as the previous 5 episodes in this season. So if we don't want Leclerc to get away and just run away with this at his home race, we need to get past these silver arrows ASAP. It's going to be tricky, though, because there's 2 of them, so they're going to both basically defend from me both times. But we always love a challenge here on this channel, so let's go to it then as we go to 5 red lights here in the Principality for the Monaco Grand Prix, and we are underway to slow start for Bottas, and equally kind of not a great one for Hamilton, but they block me off into turn 1, nowhere to go, and look at this. They're literally side by side, and they're just a wall of black, essentially, ahead of me there. The 2 Mercedes cars, pretty much mobile chicanes. They're still side by side as we go through Casino down towards Mirabeau. This is actually bonkers. I've never seen 2 AI cars go side by side for this long naturally in a career mode race, and there you go. Eventually Bottas will slot in, but look at the gap that Leclerc already has. Like, we're talking a good 2-second gap already. He's out of the camera shot there. Bottas second, Hamilton third, but I literally couldn't go anywhere. Even if I dive bombed them anywhere, left, right, Bottas was covering me, Hamilton covering me. So yeah, as I said, we've got it all to do now. Lap number 2, and Leclerc is already out of shot on the minimap there. So this is going to be a long race, and I feel like, unfortunately, the race win may be already out of our grasp. But Hamilton, look at this. He's making a mistake, as he has done previously. I've said it before, Hamilton's AI this season, it's not the same Hamilton AI we know and we maybe hated in previous F1 games. This AI of Hamilton's we've got right now in Season 3 makes mistakes, and he's under pressure. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at this rate if he retires out of F1 at the end of this season, because he's making a lot of mistakes. He's not at his peak anymore as an AI driver, and you saw there with the rear end squirming off that chicane. You know, we have the chance to overtake him, but it's just when and how, because even though he's making these mistakes, he's still okay enough in the corners to hold me through. And also, it's Monaco. It's so tough to overtake. And now we're a whole further 2 laps later, lap number 5, and we're still in P4. This has absolutely killed any chance I have of winning this race now, but I need to get past Hamilton still to try and get through into this good podium position, P2, and we're going to try a very audacious move on the inside of Casino. Somehow, we've made it work. We got the elbows out, and we've just forced a move there on the inside. No one ever really attempts an overtake there, but we've just done it on Lewis Hamilton. We used DRS up the hill, got a good run, and then I just went really brave under braking and let the car really roll through quite quickly on that left-hander before the right into Casino Square, and we've got the job done. And now can we get the job done on Bottas, because it's lap number 7, so further 2 laps. So 7 laps gone in this race, and Leclerc already has more than 7 seconds on me in the lead. So that's just how slow Mercedes have been compared to what I should be aiming for with Leclerc there. And the issue here is I may be faster, but you can maybe hear it there and see it. I have a lot of wheel spin out of these corners with that oversteer we had from qualifying, but we've got to go for it. We go for a massive lunge down the inside of Bottas. Bang tyres. We're side by side now out the tunnel through the chicane as we go down towards the last sector. Still just got the nose in. Oh, it's so fine. How have we not crashed? This is absolutely amazing. We're side by side at Monaco through the entire second half of the lap. We're still neck and neck through swimming pool into Raskas. Bottas on the inside. We're on the outside still, giving him the space. He gives us the room, and into the last corner. We literally have been side by side for a whole half lap there. He then squeezes me onto the curb, and that invites Hamilton and the Ferrari de Vries to attack me. We're going to keep it on the outside here, Hamilton, and defend. So very cheeky there from Bottas to really give me the good old squeeze to the inside. I got on that, 3D curb on the left, and that really slowed me down. Up the hill, though, we squeeze at Hamilton, and he's actually gone below de Vries there. So I'm not saying I'm happy about that, but I am happy about that, because he and Bottas have completely ruined my entire chance of winning this race, and they pretty much ruined my entire experience of this Grand Prix so far. They are very slow. Like, yeah, there's no way they've made a recovery from the last few episodes. They're still just as slow. I don't know how they finessed qualifying. I think everyone else must have just been slower because, yeah, they're just very slow, and they've really held me up. So I'm just getting fed up with it really at this point in the race. 10 laps in, and we're still here behind Bottas. But every single time we come through downhill, these 2 right-handers, he's been squirming on the exit, and even in the middle of the section there. So can we try and get... Oh, it's a massive one for Bottas. Huge mistake for the Finn. We're now neck and neck in the tunnel. Oh, Oh, it's so close. Once again, I've got no words to explain it. The action we've seen. I've never seen so many cars side by side. I've never been side by side this much with AI cars at Monaco for this long, over multiple laps, over the lap itself. This is madness. Bottas just holds it through. He's playing it very clever, I must say. He outbroke us. He was able to get on the inside there, and that obviously is going to be the racing line, the more preferred line, so I had to give him the room. And so we're still stuck behind the fin as we move on to lap number 11. Anything I'm trying, it's not clever enough. And it's just not that final nail in the coffin. And now the pit window's open. And we're just going to come in because, well, it's my time to pit. And so Bottas has technically defeated me there in terms of, you know, holding me back that entire stint. But the thing is here, with the undercut that we're going to get, myself and De Vries, I reckon we might both jump him because he's that slow. Like, honestly, even in traffic, I'll go quicker than Bottas is in lap right now on lap number 11 onto 12 when he comes in, I'm sure, because he's on soft tyres as well. So we go out. It's not an amazingly fast stop, only 2 seconds, but we come out in a pretty decent pocket of clean air, actually. There's a bit of traffic up ahead of Alfa Romeo and Renault and such, but right now there's a decent 2.6 second gap that we can try and close up essentially and try and use to good use, but by the time we get to lap number 12, Bottas is only now pitting, I think, so he's done 2 laps longer than I have, but we've closed up to the Alfa Romeo and Bottas is there and he's gone. We have overtaken Bottas, but we narrowly just rear end Russell into turn 1, so we lose a few seconds there to our fellow Brit, but we've overtaken Bottas. The strategy has worked out better for us. He is the slower man, and now we're on the back of Russell, who is struggling very much so. He's been on these medium tyres since the start of the Grand Prix. My mediums, very fresh, working well. Purple first sector. We're going to go for the big dive bomb on the inside, out the tunnel. Going to really get the elbows out. Not going to learn from my mistakes with Bottas and not give him any room on the outside to work with. And we get the job done. And we swing through that left-hander into swing pool. And we charge on towards that Renault. So at this stage now, technically, I am in P2, I would say, on the road. There are a few people that are yet to pit still that were in that top flight. Remember, Verstappen, Ocon as well. Those two, they qualified on medium, so they're going still on their first stint even longer into this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, we go and look for an overtake on the Renault, and it's a sublime one, if I do say so myself there. That was very, very smooth on the outside of turn 1. Smooth operation indeed, to quote my old teammate from Season 2. And now we look to maybe overtake Magnussen with a cheeky move to the inside of Mirabeau. We're so fine to smashing the rear end of his, but the move's done into the hairpin, and so we've got some more clean air to work with, and we'll close up to the next batch of cars, which is going to be tail-ended by Lance Stroll, Giovinazzi there as well. I think sooner rather than later as well, we'll see those first pit stops for those on medium tyres. So then we'll get an inkling of where Verstappen and Ocon feed into this race, and if they have indeed gained any sort of advantage by going on the medium tyres at the start of the Grand Prix. Right now, just trying to size up this move with Lance Stroll and Giovinazzi as well. Can we maybe get him to the last corner? We can't quite make a Raskas dive yet, unfortunately, in this race, but Stroll's very slow, and we're on the inside there, and you know what? We've just managed to finesse our way through there. I don't know how we've done that. P10, he was so slow off Raskas for some reason that I was practically pushing him through the corner, actually, and so we just went down to the inside, simple as that. And so now we're again pushing Giovinazzi through. These guys are really slow. Like I said, you know, because now our car technically on paper and on the road clearly is so much quicker, we're so much faster on these fresher tyres, and now we are going to make the infamous Raskas dive on the inside there, sweet as you like, and that is that checkbox ticked for the Monaco Grand Prix for me on this channel. We're up into P9, even further now, P8, as Verstappen goes behind us. So his medium tyre strategy has not helped him jump me, but it's helped him jump a few people because he's actually there just behind Giovinazzi. So he will technically be in a P3 unless Ocon slots in between us. Let's see. As we now make a move on Grosjean, he's actually going to come in. So that was quite nicely choreographed there for us to take the outside line as he comes into the pit lane. But where is Ocon? Gasly's in. There is Ocon into turn 1. It's actually been very close, you know. That McLaren's actually been pretty damn quick on that first stint, and he's just there. So once Albon and Kvyat pit ahead of us, it will be myself in second. It's this man in first place, by the way, still, if you're wondering. Leclerc dominating this race, but these three yet to pit. The AlphaTauri, Perez, then you've got Kvyat and Albon. But after them, it will be P2 on the road, myself, Ocon right behind me in the McLaren, looking very quick, I must say, on a set of hard tyres, though. And then Verstappen is after him and then you've got a load of traffic, and then there is Valtteri Bottas, and then we've got even more traffic behind him, and then it will be the likes of De Vries, Lando Norris as well, and the 2 Red Bulls, who we've hardly seen anything of, and Hamilton as well. After an early pit stop for him, he's been woefully slow, and he's wedged between the 2 Red Bull cars after being in P4, and now you're watching, oh, what a move there, De Vries on the inside in the Ferrari car. Very rare we see an AI on AI move in the tunnel, but that was sweet as you want. But now back to our race then, and on these medium tyres, feeling some tyre wear for sure on the rear end as it squirms about, and there's a big tank slapper there on the exit, and Ocon gets a very good run, and the McLaren is looking very quick in a straight line there, even with all the ERS deploying. Ocon goes for the dive, round the outside, lock up for us. Oh no, we hit the wall on the rear end car. The rear end clouted the wall. We're spun around in Monaco. We're facing our teammate Verstappen. Get out of the way. Oh, what? Oh, Bottas has spun it at the same place. What's gone on there? What on earth? Virtual safety car. What has gone on here in Monaco? What is it with me and Bottas? Every time. Let's look at a replay. Ocon round the outside, and for me, it's just a very, very harsh clouting of the rear end there. The rear left tyre hit the wall, and that's exactly what Bottas has done, I think. That's exactly what the Finny's done. Difference is, AlphaTauri's crashed into him whilst he's done it, but here we go. Ocon, he gives us a good old squeeze. I've got to say, that was on the edge. I'm not going to blame him. It's on the edge, though, of giving me enough room to work with, but because I was so close to the wall and locking up as well on the front left tyre, that just took my rear left onto that orange part of the wall there, and that's exactly what happened to Bottas, so easy mistake to make, but as I said, the difference is I was able to come out scot-free because my teammate just looked at me as I was facing backwards, instead for Bottas, the AlphaTauri came in and punted his rear front wing. Saying that though, somehow I've actually got some damage now. I don't know if that was from the incident with Ocon, or the wall, or whatever, or somewhere I've just grazed the wall, but once again I've got some front wing damage at Monaco. Seems to be a recurring theme here in F1 2020. So we're going to have to try and drive through that. But by the time we get to lap 38 then, the second last lap of the Grand Prix, because of that damage, I was understeering and I've hit the wall a few more times. So now I've got a very, very worn out front wing. Yellow on the front right, lime green on the, I mean, we may as well at this point have a plank of wood as a front wing. And look at that. On the last lap, Leclerc has already crossed the line on his last lap for the race win. He's dominated his home Grand Prix. You can't fault him. He deserved the win. But for us, we've gone from P2 down to P4. I feel like we would have gotten overtaken by Ocon either way. We might have had a chance, though, of being on the podium, because I think we could have defended against Verstappen for sure around here. But the McLaren was pretty damn quick, but also at the same time, you just never know. But for me, it's another very hectic ending to the Grand Prix. And slowly, those kind of small little mistakes we were making in Season 2, they're cropping back up again. But earlier this time, we need to try and work on that and iron them out.
It's the one that everyone wants to win, and they've only gone and done it. What a fantastic result here at Monaco. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
But there you have it then, the man from Monaco wins at Monaco in a Ferrari. Leclerc wins the Monaco Grand Prix, his second win of the season, so that brings the tally, I think, to I've won 2 races, Sainz has won 2, and I've won 2, and Verstappen has won 1. So it's all down to Verstappen. Looking over across at your side of the garage, Max, for next race to complete the entire set of all 4 of us winning 2 races apiece and having this very nice kind of, 4-way kind of little story fight we're kind of having. My old teammate, my current one, and my old championship rival from last season. But, the McLarens, they've arrived. Ocon looked very quick. Lando was unfortunate to get caught up in the traffic that race, but I genuinely think it might become a 5-way fight between maybe even Ocon getting involved, or if Norris wants to step up, because technically he's the man in charge in the championship for that team. But for us then, we do remain ahead in the championship. We've still got a pretty decent cushion, actually, to Leclerc, but obviously he's eroded that a little bit there. Team-wise, we're still fine, the constructors, but course, we can't kind of get complacent and kind of let these mistakes creep in every single time. They will happen, though. It happens in racing, and we just got to try and rectify it. But, I mean, to be fair, if you think about it, last episode, that wasn't really... It was a mistake, but it was in the wet on dry tyres. I feel like any of us could have made that mistake. Here at Monaco, I think I got very unlucky. Like, I gave Ocon as much room as I could give him. He gave me pretty much on the edge of all the space he wanted to give me, and it was just so unfortunate. It must have been like a pixel or two that I tapped that rear left tyre, so I thought I actually came out very unlucky in that. I think that should have been just an overtake and down to P3, but I think we really could have solidified P3 and kind of stayed ahead of Verstappen at least, but it happens in racing, and you just got to move on to the next one, and next time it is one of my favourite races on the calendar and on the F1 game, Absolute, the Canadian Grand Prix, the place where we won our second race ever in this career mode in Season 2, so happy hunting ground. Let's see if we can try and rectify these errors in the last 2 episodes and make up for it with a strong performance there. Till then, though, guys, if you did enjoy this episode, a very hectic one, I think you'll agree, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.